Former President Rodrigo Duterte called Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu a classic warrior. He also has a message to the now wartime leader leading the Israeli military in its fight against Hamas. Jade Calabroso reports.
Ito si Netanyahu. He's a classic warrior. Hindi yan pampolitiko si warrior. You know, his brother died fighting the terrorists. Pati si Netanyahu, sundalo yan.
This is how former President Rodrigo Duterte described Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. In the latest episode of Geek at Samasa para Samasa with Pastor Apollo C. Kibuloy, Duterte also drew similarities between Netanyahu and the late President Fidel V. Ramos, as they are both soldiers but unlike the latter.
He's not the classic example. The most that I could identify him with the Filipino, parang si Ramos yan. But ito si Netanyahu is more warrior. Ramos was a very decent man. Sundalo pero he was always for peace. Ito si Netanyahu, hindi ito for peace. Even before this war, he is really a wartime president. Panggera talaga ito si Netanyahu. And he has lost in elections, parliamentary, naging prime minister, elections and parliamentary, natalo sila, naalis siya. I think this is the third or fourth time balik.
The former president is referring to Netanyahu's political power as the longest tenured prime minister. He has held office 6 times for over 16 years. Netanyahu held several ambassadorship positions and later served as a deputy minister of foreign affairs and deputy minister in a prime minister's coalition cabinet. But in his early days, Netanyahu was in the Israeli military. He enlisted in the year 1967 and was part of the elite special operations unit called Sayeret Matkal. In 1973, he fought in the Yom Kippur War, also known as the Fourth Arab-Israeli War, a devastating event that began with surprise attacks led by Egypt and Syria during Jewish holy days. History books say that Israel ultimately gained the upper hand. However, the war resulted in more than 2,500 Israelis killed, as well as thousands of Syrians and Egyptians. Analysts and the media have drawn parallels to the Yom Kippur War and the unprecedented attack of Hamas on Israel on October 7, 2023, which halted Israel's political divide over a judicial overhaul. Exactly 50 years and a day later, Netanyahu is facing a similar event. This time, he is standing as a wartime prime minister.
Israel is at war. We didn't want this war. It was forced upon us in the most brutal and savage way. But though Israel didn't start this war, Israel will finish it. Once the Jewish people were stateless. Once the Jewish people were defenseless. No longer. Hamas will understand that by attacking us, they've made a mistake of historic proportions. We will exact a price that will be remembered by them and Israel's other enemies for decades to come.
Israel has an atomic bomb. I think it is only Israel may atomic bomb dyan sa Middle East. Ihulog ko na lang yan, sabihin ko, tapos tayo lahat. Huwag mo akong ganunin. So if there is a representative of the Jewish state Israel, paki-basa lang kay Netanyahu, the Prime Minister, na kung ako, yan ang gawin ko. At ako naman, if you are an Arab state who has the cranial mass inside your, you must condemn and just say, Adre, my neighbor, my brother Arab, please do not do it in excess.
Duterte has strongly condemned Hamas attack on civilians, but if he were in Netanyahu's shoes, the former president said,
So my advice to Netanyahu, if there is a representative of Israel listening now, gawin ninyong malaking semeteryo yan. Pulpugin ninyo lahat, pati lahat na. Kung ako ang may atomic bomb, ihulog ko talaga. Alam mo kung saan ihulog? Sa Iran. Because itong Hamas na ito, ang amo ng Hamas.
FPRRD also stressed that terror groups like Hamas should be eliminated.
Yung sabi nila ng Hamas, tama yung ginagawa nila. What if tama yung pagpatay ng mga inosente?
Bata.
Ubusin mo yung Israeli army for all I care. You can massacre them all. But you should not harm even one single innocent civilian. He may be an Arab, Palestine, originally, or yung mga tourists doon, French, German, kasali na.
Especially children.
So it's a tinderbox. Because ang Philippines, even one Filipino, ang ginawa mo sa ganon, I will go to war. You have to eliminate this. Hindi pwede yung mga ganon na rulers of nations or groups, violent terrorist groups, to have their way and just kill people without rhyme or reason.
It can be remembered that Israel launched a total siege on Gaza Strip and unleashed a retaliatory strike, pummeling Hamas stronghold and halting deliveries of food, water, medicines, electricity, and other supplies.
So, itong mga high-profile na with so much influence on the Arab affairs should think now of how to correct things if it can be corrected. Kasi ako si Netanyahu, pulpugin ko yung Hamas, I will level it to the ground para wala ng Gaza. No more Gaza to fight for. I will make it a dead case. Kasama na yung matamaan ng bomba. I will forget about Gaza. I will just tell the mga Israel, bumalik na kayo, maghanap kayo ng pwesto dito sa lugar natin. At kayong mga Palestine, the good ones, the innocent ones, umatras kayo kasi pulpugin ko ito. And I will make it the biggest cemetery in the world.
Wow.
Kung ako, yun talaga ang gawin ko. Am I a violent man? Yes. If there is reason to be violent and angry. Walang problema yan. Am I excessively... Well, we are not created equals. I will say that this is not to side with Israel. We have always been neutral. Baski ako nung presidente ako. The Arab is good, Israel is good. Ang akin. I feel for the Muslims in the Middle East, and I love the Muslims, Filipino Muslims in this country. But there has to be reason and a time for reckoning for everything. It's out of tune and it has harmed so many people.
For God and my beloved Philippines, this has been Jade Calabroso, SMNA News.